What's up, everybody? We are back. The Power Rankings guys have returned, and we are here for All Stars, man. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Paul, and I'm here with Joe.
Hey, everybody. I've been pinching myself the last few days. It's crazy that we're finally getting to see the season, and we're back and excited to talk about the episode and, of course, give our rankings. So I'm super excited to be here.
It's finally here. We have waited so long. We've been anticipating this for so long. All we've been hearing is about how great this season is. Everybody who we talked to, everybody who was involved, people who were there, people who were not there, people who played, people who were on production, all they've told us is how great this season is. And now it's finally here. We finally have our premiere. And I got to say, I think this premiere lived up to the hype.
It was great. I felt like it was a solid 2-hour episode. We've heard from everyone, which I love. We got some backstories. We have some redemption stories. We had a crazy challenge, a great tribal that I'm sure we'll talk about. Yeah, it really delivered. That was a really well done first episode.
I agree. So much content.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like we got a moment with a lot of these people. I feel like there were a lot of setups that came along, a lot of things that are setting us up for later in the season, a lot of things that we're interested to see. We got, like you said, a great challenge, drama, a crazy split vote at the very first tribal council. You don't get that very often. So
No.
I'm pumped.
Yeah.
And I'm pumped to dive in.
So
the first, the heading of my notes just says Godfathers of the Game. And I think that that's like a fun way to approach this. Is there is a lot of really big personalities here, and a lot of people who really viewed themselves as people who got robbed or shanked their first time around. We have some finalists who think they should have won. We have some people who thought they should have made the finals. We have some people like Leia who were like, I know why I didn't win, and I'm not doing that again. So I think there's a lot to cover here. So let's just dive right in. We do a lot of intros with several people who tell their stories right out. And the first one I want to tap into is Power Rankings guy's favorite, Andrew, or Crouch, as I don't know which one we're going with throughout the season. A note that he said about his run that I found was interesting is he really did never receive a vote.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was going to say the same exact thing. He's, I believe, the only, besides obviously the winners or the finalists,
But I think even the finalists have all gotten votes for at one point or another. I think even Dylan got votes. So
that's a good point. So he's the only person on the cast that was technically not voted out. So what a story there. I mean, we all remember that infamous scene of him pulling the rock and laying on the ground and asking about All Stars, and his dream has now come true. He gets a second chance, which we're very excited to see. We were both a very big Crouch fans. So he is definitely someone that I'm very excited to see play again. And if he can recover from his first go around and hopefully make a deep run.
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely a fan favorite. And I feel like even among this cast, I think there's a lot of people who feel really warmly towards him. So I think that's a good spot for him. He's Cooper's neighbor, apparently, which came up at one point, which I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But because he's Cooper's neighbor, he doesn't have to hide in the bushes like Tom. Tom is back, Joe.
Wow. What can I say about
What
Tom?
can you say?
What can you say? Just literally the same Tom energy that he brought the first time. I think we already got some kind of comments of like him potentially being the first boot of his tribe, which I kind of hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, I do like to see people sort of learn from their first go around and hopefully make it further. So we'll see if that's the case for him. We did see him talking to a few players and trying to get, work his way in there. He kind of caught on to the whole Jackson Megan dating situation, which I'm sure we'll discuss. So he's definitely got his eyes and ears out there, but I don't see him changing much from his first go around. So it'll be interesting to see where he falls in all this. But Yeah, Tom is back. You said it perfectly.
Yeah, these All-Stars, I think these All-Stars are smart. And I think if they can find a place for Tom and a use for Tom, I don't see them just first booting him.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong. Maybe they'll just say it's too much. He's too much. We got to get rid of him. But I'm interested in how the Tom arc is going to go. But speaking of what you said, I have a quote. I have a poll quote here from somebody that is definitely in that S tier of people we were waiting to see. The quote is, "The scariest survivor is one who has learned from his past." Ooh. And that came from none other than Kevin, somebody who has a lot to learn from his past.
The Cavillain, as we dubbed him many moons ago. I mean, that's the perfect quote there. And I think he is on my list as somebody that I'm really interested to see play again. And if he can learn from his past and bring a little bit different of a style to the season. So I'm excited to see him back and see what he's capable of this time.
I love Kevin. I loved him the first time. He was somebody that was way high on the list of people I wanted to see back. But this is a different caliber of players than he was dealing with the first time. I mean, in no disrespect to some of the legends of season 2, but this is definitely a step up for him. So he's not going to just be able to kind of big boy his way around this game the way he did in season 2. And Kevin is somebody who, like he said himself, if he learned from his game, if he took the right lessons, he is somebody who could make a deep run. He is somebody who could be a formidable player in this game. And early on, we see a really interesting trio that I definitely have to get your take on.
Yes.
I mean, and this would be, I don't even think there's an analogous of this in CBS Survivor, but of Kevin, Jackson, and Will that I think is kind of like alluded towards. One of them says it at some point. They're all together. I mean, that would be... That is a rogues gallery of Survivor right there.
Yeah, that is a massive force right there with those three big personalities, big players. I would love that to happen. I foresee a lot of chaos from that.
I mean, come on.
And of course, and I feel like I also see that imploding very early as well. It's like we really could just like throw anything at the wall and get that from that trio. But that is a very great trio coming together. I hope it lasts even just for the entertainment.
I need those 3 people in a room soon. I need something with those, because I mean, you could argue, right, those are the 3 biggest villains of season 2, 3, and 4. I mean, I think you could easily make that case. There are other names in there, but when in Survivor have you ever gotten all the big bads in a room together, saying maybe we can do this? Now, will it work? No. There's a 0% chance that ever actually becomes anything real, because I mean, not just that, but I feel comfortable enough saying this that these guys won't mind. I think the egos involved with those 3 names, I don't think would ever allow them to work together. But man, I think at some point I just need to see those 3 just interacting. I mean, and while we have them, Will is back. Will, wow, definitely shot out of a cannon again this season. Is Will on Kevin's list of people who learned from their past?
I feel like he's trying-ish.
Okay.
He was doing like a little bit of like an apology tour situation. Yes. He was kind of maybe downplaying his first go around. But like, yeah, sometimes it's just like the player that you are is so ingrained in you. How can you be different than that? So he's also one to watch of like, will he turn over a new leaf and play this game a different way than his first time? Or will he just kind of fall back into that? Because it's kind of, especially when you are a big personality and all of that, it's tough to kind of tone that down or turn that off. So Will is back. We already got some great confessionals from him, and I expect hopefully many, many more from him.
Yeah, I am not of the school of thought that you have to change the way you play to be successful in a return season. And I don't necessarily think that everybody should. But I do think that you have to learn from those mistakes. And if you're going to play a similar game, you have to improve it, because I believe it was us, the power rankings guys, who a couple weeks out of the finale of season 3 were saying Will can't win. There's no combination of people Will can sit at the end with and win. And, you know, I suspect we were right. I haven't heard anything from exit interviews or from anybody else. It's like, no, the jury loved what Will was doing. Like, I never heard that. So I think for Will, there's like a lot of social capital that I really would like to see him work on and build. But Will's smart. He's older, even older than he was last time he played. He's, I mean, definitely the old guy of the cast. Maybe there's something to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, then we move on to another old guy of the cast who played differently, and that is Jackson is back.
More shirtless than ever.
We have to address the elephant in the room. we have to address the elephant in the room. Jackson is already shirtless. He looks insane. Like, he looks incredible. Like, there's just, I'm gonna say it. He looks great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Also, I have a side note. Everyone is shirtless this season. Everyone but Akshay is shirtless this season. And God bless Akshay. I don't blame him. If, like, you know, I'm not going shirtless when Jackson is here, Crouch is here, Sam is here, Dylan is here. No, I don't. I am with you, Akshay, on that. Of like, I like hot tub time as much as anybody, but if I'm gonna go onto a TV show and I'm gonna be around all these athletic college bros, I'm not. No, like, I'll also be the one holding the. But that's, again, for a different time. But
yeah, Jackson
looks great. The elephant is from the room is cleared. Now, the other elephant in the room, Jackson and Megan.
I am shook.
Oh my God.
To my core. I love it. I also, and I don't know if I missed a part of this, but and you might have more information on this because I know you take good notes. Like, so were they dating for a bit? Did they sort of back off from that? Was that a strategic move, knowing that All Stars was coming, that they maybe shouldn't be as public with their relationship?
Yeah, that's sort of the vibe that I'm getting, is that they're together, but they don't want people to know. I think it's like a Tarowski Thal situation where they're like together, but they don't. Not that Tarowski and Thal were together. That's fan fiction, but like that they want to back off of it. And that's where I have in all caps Oscar-gate. They invented a fake boyfriend for Megan named Oscar.
Yeah, that was interesting. Also, kudos to Megan. I think she had a conversation with Aaron and was like, yeah, me and Jackson are like not a thing. And, you know, I'm okay with him getting voted out early, but kudos to her for being able to just lie about that so easily. I thought that was really great. I also want to know more about it. Like, did they, obviously, I mean, this was only a few years ago, but social media was still a big thing. So like, did they purposely like not post anything together, change their Facebook status? Like, I want to know because I can see them both being that strategic.
Oh yeah.
And like, let's not post anything together. Like, let's not be around each other on campus, whatever they had to do. So I want to know, I hope we get more details on like what their strategy was coming into the game to kind of hide this, because I think that would be really interesting. But they've clearly gone to great lengths to kind of keep this relationship under wraps. So that just makes it even more exciting to see how long they can get away with it. Do they get caught eventually? Do we see them get on a tribe together? Is this like the beginning of a Robin Amber situation? Does Megan cut Jackson at some point? Like, there's so many opportunities and for the two of them. So I'm just excited to see what becomes of this.
I fully agree. I think these are two savvy players. So I don't think this is going to turn into an Alex's situation where they're constantly accidentally posting on social media about each other. Like, right. I think that they're both savvier than that. But I also think the rest of this cast is too. Yeah. And I just don't know. I don't know the wisdom of hiding it versus just saying, like, this is what it is. Because it's not like, I mean, like we said, Cooper and Leia are here together. Like, obviously they're not together, but well known, they are besties. Season 1 has aired by this point, so people know the score there. There's a ton of other duos that exist in this world that are well known, of people who are close from production and whatever. So I don't know, but Megan is working in this premiere.
She had a great first episode. Yeah.
She had a fantastic first episode. And so if we're talking about like the marriage of convenience type situation from Rob Has a Podcast or whatever, like Megan is definitely in the driver's seat in this, I think, anyway.
Yeah. And it's good to see her in that position. I think she made some comment, it might have been to Aaron, like, I don't know what the full context was about her like not mattering or her opinion not mattering or something. And it's like her opinion is mattering. Like, she had a lot of strong, you know, moves in her first season. So I love that she's just trying, like, taking the game by the horns and just like diving right in and being like, I'm playing this game. I'm making my connections. I'm downplaying the me and Jackson thing. Like, let's go.
Totally.
So it's great to see.
We were huge on Megan the first time. I think we're even huger on her at this point.
Yes.
Let's see. Who else haven't we covered? Sarah Gallagher is back.
Yeah. Yes.
Full disclosure, we both know Sarah. We have met Sarah in person. We have played with Sarah. I think we can say that.
I think we can say that. There was a cast video out there.
Played with Sarah. Spent a little time on a tribe with Sarah. Love her to death. Yes. She's fantastic. We're so glad she's here. We're so glad she's getting this shot. And she does exactly what I want to see somebody in her position do in an episode 1, which is just get to work.
Yes.
Like, get to work.
Right. Which is not surprising because we know Sarah. We've played with Sarah. She's an amazing player. And I loved her craft hour or craft corner, whatever it was called. We love a visual in College Survivor. We love whiteboards. I love that she made, you know, the little pictures and magnets of everybody. It's so easy to kind of, you know, when you're talking about different people, especially on different tribes and stuff, it's so easy to see that. So we love that she got that segment. Are we
auctioning off the magnets for charity after the season?
That's a great idea.
Do we need to DM her or something and be like, just so you know, maybe.
So we love that. She won her first immunity challenge in the Survivor Michigan realm. Yes. And she's not the first boot.
Yes.
So kudos to her for that. But yes, she got right to work. We saw her, Paddock, and Tom together a lot. I know there were multiple people that reached or that said that they wanted to work with her. I think even on different tribes too in the beginning. So that's a great place to be when your name is coming up for that reason.
Yeah.
A little bit interesting that Sarah and Paddock ended up on the same tribe because
a little bit interesting.
We know how close they are and they've played other games before. So I thought that was an interesting choice. But I do love that Sarah was able to talk about her other games because if you're looking at this in just the scope of Survivor Michigan, it's like interesting. They're bringing back a first boot, but it's like if you only know Sarah that way, like you don't know Sarah.
Yeah.
Like we know her.
Let's talk about it. Absolutely.
Like, she plays well. She gets far in games. So it's like she was the perfect first boot to bring back. She has so much potential. And I think what's also interesting, and I feel like I'm saying a lot of things that I was going to say later, but that's okay. When you don't, if you are just looking at the scope of Survivor Michigan, like there's nothing really to look back on that the other players can be like, oh, she did this, she did that. Like she has kind of a clean slate, which I think is a good place to be in an all-star season where so many people have reputations and crazy moves that they made. And I think she can kind of skate under that for a while and really just like build her connections and play a strong game. And I think that puts her in a really good position. So I'm excited. We're excited she's back. Survivor Buffalo got a little shout out, which is near and dear to our hearts. So that was like, really cool to see.
Yeah, I was so so pumped. We're both Buffalo alumni, Buffalo All-Stars, which we can say along with both Sarah Gallagher and Emily Paddock.
Yeah.
So we've played with both of them now. And they are both, for people who don't know, so LRG, the live reality game community, exists. There are all sorts of these games that go on that range anywhere from 1-day games, 2-day games, weekend games, longer than that games that exist. And both Sarah and Paddock, at least, and I could be wrong, this is my opinion, I think they're both two of the top tier names that are in the LRG community.
Oh, I completely agree.
I think if you were making a list of the best LRG players, I think they'd both be on that list. I think they'd both be on basically anybody's list who knows live games. So seeing them both here is really exciting, because this is sort of, I think this is sort of like the sports version of like going to like basketball camp in the off season, or like playing on the travel team in high school. Like, they didn't just sit around and wait for all-stars. Neither one of these players did. Like, they both have been working. They've both been developing their Survivor games, and they are, I mean, you underestimate both of them at their own peril. I love the way Paddock plays. I think her social game is to the moon. And I think she only needs to get in a half of an inch of a foothold in a game to be somebody that is just absolutely dangerous. And unlike Will, I think she's successfully shedding her season 3 reputation.
Yeah.
Except for Paddock versus Aaron.
I know. Well, is it Survivor Michigan without some sort of like versus situation?
It's not. And is it Survivor Michigan without somebody versus Aaron? She is just already in the center of this. We're going to talk about that later, because I have a couple other names I want to hop onto first. But so funny. So we love Sarah. We love Paddock. We're so glad they're here. A couple just more quick notes that I had from my notes. Lucy is now listed as former Scrappa in her lower third.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, it was. I was breathless.
My jaw is on the floor.
M. Night Shyamalan is back, and we have no context for it. What happened? Why is Lucy former Scrappa? We'll put that the very first Power Rankings Guide question of the season.
Yes.
Shooting it up to the heavens. And by the heavens, we mean Ian, of course. What happened with Lucy and Scrappa? I hope we find out.
Oh, I'm so glad you caught that, because I didn't even see that. So yes, we need answers.
Yes. Cooper is here. This is very unique. I feel like for somebody to go from that hosting role that he did for 3 seasons, that he really grew into, I felt like really well.
Yeah.
Now he's back in the game. So I'll pose it to you this way. Okay. So you're a player, and your host has now decided that he's going to play the game. What's your, like, how are you feeling about that? Are you like, oh, good, somebody I know? Or are you like, get him out, cut him as soon as possible?
My immediate thought is to work with them for a short to medium amount of time. I mean, he said it himself, like he's played season 1, and then he's hosted multiple seasons after that. So he knows the ins and outs of basically everyone's game, at least from a host perspective. But also he knows, I mean, this is a lot of information to contain, but I feel like he could do it. Like, he also knows other people's perspectives of other people's games in this game. So like, that's a lot of information to have that maybe other people wouldn't. So I personally think I would work with the host for a short to medium amount of time. Now, if it makes sense to go further than that, of course, but I don't know if it necessarily scares me. Here's the thing. If you have Cooper on your side, you hopefully are getting some of that information as the season goes on. If you're not on his side, you're getting a fake idol clue and digging in a volleyball court. I'd rather be on Cooper's side than not, personally.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I do want to talk about Jessie. Because Jessie is somebody else who we liked a lot her first time around, but I think we're also by the end saying, I don't think Jessie can win. But she is openly in her confessional saying, I didn't play hard enough the first time. I need to play harder this time. And so I'm like, when she's saying this kind of stuff, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
this is exactly what I want to hear from you. This is exactly what I want to hear from an all-star. Yes. Until, oh, Jesse.
I know. I felt so bad.
I know. And this is just Cooper being a dick. I'm going to say it on the pod. Like, I'm happy to say it.
I think you'd be fine with that.
It's just Cooper being a dick.
Yeah.
Which I'm totally here for because it's hilarious and it's good TV. And now he's not the person who has spent the longest digging on the volleyball court in Survivor Michigan history. But overall, this is a net positive for Jesse. And I truly believe that, because I think it's almost sort of like a self-initiation, like where it's like, how hard do you want to play this game? And she has just dug up an entire volleyball court in public in front of total strangers and gotten nothing for it. But like, this is the trial by fire. She's in it. There's no like, well, I guess or I don't know if I'm going to make this meeting or whatever. Like, Jesse's in it now. And so I'm in a way, it makes me even higher on her to be like, okay, yeah, even because there's no way, you can't know it's a fake idol clue. There's no way for her to know that.
Right.
So yeah, I'm buying Jesse stock this season already.
Yeah, I agree with that. I even bought it for a second. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. They're doing like a nostalgic idol thing. And then I was like, wait a second. But yeah, I think you made a really good point. I feel like she had, like, in the hands of another player, they would have either maybe tried to assume that it was fake or like not give a lot of time and effort into that. So we do love that she did that. It's proving that she's coming back to play harder, where maybe if she would have found something like that in her season, wouldn't have really cared that much. Yeah. So I think you make a great point. I feel like it's like Jesse's going to throw herself into this game. We want to see that. We love to see that. We love to hear that. So I hope that continues on, throughout her time in the game.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to kind of run through a couple more of these notes, and you just stop me if you have anything interesting to say. I have Sam glow up. Sam, you're looking great. Way to go. Yep. Adam is here. Adam had a great premiere. Adam drinking Grey Goose. Adam being the first person to show up. Maybe I'm in on Adam. Like, I think he's in a good spot on his tribe. I think he's already kind of in a bit of a power position. I think he's made some good moves already. Yeah. Thumbs up to Adam.
Agree. Yes.
I have Jackson giving American Psycho vibes at one point, which I think, like, again, I think is something that Jackson would take as a compliment, not as an insult, which is why I'm saying it is on the podcast. Like, sometimes he's like just so confident and intense that like it reads as Christian Bale in American Psycho, like, which, and again, that's coming from me, who, when I play games, am so neurotic and crazy that like I can't get out of my own head. So the idea of someone being confident, not just in the game, but confident enough to take their shirt off on camera, is just totally foreign to me from both perspectives. So maybe that's that. Let's see. Dylan. Is this gutsy or is this hubris for Dylan to be here?
I think it's a little gutsy. Okay. I mean, what I would say about him is that, so he's the only winner that's back.
That's what I'm hinting at here. Is this the right move for Dylan to be here?
Now, obviously, you don't know who's going to be on the cast, I'm assuming. So maybe he expected at least one other winner to be there. But I think it's going to be a really tough road for him. Like, that already puts a massive target on you. I feel like there's a lot of people in this game that, sometimes you hear that strategy of like, bring the winner to the end. They're never going to win again. I don't see that happening here. I think people are going to view him as like, look, you played a great game. You won already. We're all back to win. So I don't know if he's going to last that long. And we'll kind of get into maybe the dynamics of the tribal a little bit later. But I would be, if I was a winner going into a returning game and I see that I'm the only one, I would be a little bit nervous. Because when you then talk about winners, there's only one person to talk about who's actually in the game. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Dylan.
I agree. I think it's a combination of both, and I think it depends on how it plays out. I think it's going to be very like Monday morning quarterbacking, whether like Dylan should have just sat this one out or come and played. But I think it's gutsy. He's so funny.
Yeah.
So he's already giving good confessionals. Sarah Gallagher said it best. He's easy on the eyes, so there's no complaints there.
Right.
I'm interested to see how this plays out. Rapid fire. Bailey. Could Bailey be good?
I want to see Bailey play a good game.
Me too.
I'll throw it out there right now. I do want to see that. I think that is, and what we've kind of said before is like a lot of people coming back to kind of redeem themselves from the first time. I would love to see Bailey go far and kind of learn from her mistakes. She's dating a producer, which was interesting that they noted that. So I don't know if that was like a future spoiler. Does the loved ones visit come into play in this season? So I thought that was interesting that they threw that in there. But
yeah, that was on purpose. And I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Something, whether it's okay, this is going to be a real throwback. I'm thinking like David on The Real World Seattle, like at one point is dating a producer and she has to break up with him. Like, is there going to be like a potential breakup here? Is he going to get sucked into the game drama somehow? Like whatever. Like I know they run a clean game at Michigan, so I'm not worried about any of that. But I'm like, you know, at some point, like there has to be like, I'm interested. I'm interested to see how it plays out. Let's talk about Michigan football. Your favorite subject.
I was hoping you would have forgotten.
Good luck with that. So it's referenced at one point. It's explained here. Michigan football had some difficult seasons, had some difficulty. Got a coach named Jim Harbaugh. Had a couple good first seasons and then just wrecked. Went on, they said at the beginning of the season, this is going to be the revenge tour. So we lost really badly to these teams. We're going to go back and beat them. One of them was Penn State University, who got absolutely destroyed and has continued to ever since that game by Michigan, which is fine. But this is the one thing I want to note about the revenge tour. Okay. I wanted to needle you, but B, I actually have something real to say about it.
Okay.
So the crux of the Michigan revenge tour is they win all these games, just destroy all these teams, play this really great football, and then get to the end of the season, their biggest rival, Ohio State, and just absolutely get demolished by Ohio State. So they beat all these teams, go all the way, look like they're really going to make the run all the way to the playoffs, and then get to the most important game of the season and just totally die on the doorstep of greatness. Is that going to be somebody's fate this season? The revenge tour? Is somebody going to get so close to the end and then just have an epic Mitch-style collapse in the finale?
I feel like it has to happen.
I feel like it has to happen too.
Because it's returning season. We have so many big players. We have so many people that are back and hungry for the win. I would be shocked if we didn't see like a fourth place boot of like somebody who is about to win, or, you know, final two, final three, somebody like a big player getting 0 votes or something for some reason. Like there's a lot of potential for something like that. So that's a great maybe future analogy of something to come. But yeah, I think that is got to be guaranteed to happen in some way or another.
I'm here for it. I'm into it. Anybody but Andrew. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
I can't do a second heartbreak with him.
No.
Like he doesn't have to win. That's fine. But I can't do. I couldn't do it twice. I couldn't do it twice, especially not now that we're doing video. I couldn't do it twice because I'll just be a wreck.
Yeah.
So we get through all that. We break up into tribes. These tribes are very interesting. Like we said before, we get the 3 supervillains all on one tribe. Sarah and Paddock are together on a tribe. We have this crazy misfit tribe that ends up going to tribal council. Do you have any interesting thoughts on the tribe divisions here?
Not necessarily. I think like maybe like Cooper and Leia being on different tribes. I think a lot of, especially more from Leia, which I was going to talk about later too, like just talking about, excuse me, how she would be fine going to the end with Cooper and battling out with him. And I think I'm very interested to see their dynamic once a swap happens, or if they both get to merge, like what comes of that storyline. Just kind of looking down here real quick. Yeah, nothing else super stands out to me. I do like the divisions for the most part. I think it's a good 3 good like groups of 7 here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we have this interesting group that emerges with Sarah and Paddock, and then Cooper and Andrew, who
yes,
like I feel like on paper that should be a 4, but in practice, those are 4 strong players. That might, I mean, to me, that's like the hero version of Jackson, Will, and Kevin in the way that
yeah,
like it might come together for a moment, but those 4 people are not going to be able to work together deep in the game because they're all here to win.
right.
Like,
I think it's one of those.
Win.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations of like align ourselves with sort of bigger targets to make sure we maybe have some wiggle room there. But yeah, I agree. I think,
but it never works.
Yeah, it doesn't.
There is no all-star season across reality TV where you can point me to where the let's get all the big players together and ride it out to the end ever actually happens. It never does.
Yeah. And they're all smart and savvy players, so I think they kind of know that. I mean, basically at this point on a tribe of 7, you just want to get the majority. So
yeah.
Hey, if we're the majority now, great. When a swap and merge comes, all 4 of them could diverge into different paths.
Yes.
And we wouldn't be shocked.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
So we get into this. Oh, by the way, the show doesn't address it, but the Ottawa tribe definitely named after the casino in Petoskey. Okay, I just had to say that because the show never addresses it, and I'm like, why? I don't think that's the same casino that the Alexes went to and posted on Snapchat. I think that's a different casino, but that's the second question we can fly up.
Perfect.
Fly up the radar of, because if I remember, anyhow, no one gives a flying whatever about my intimate knowledge of the casinos of Northern Michigan. So we'll move on. Kevin becomes a 3rd shirtless player this season during the challenge. Cooper and Paddock become Statler and Waldorf during the challenge, like just standing, making fun of everyone playing the challenge. And that's a spin-off podcast I would be here for. Just Love Cooper and Paddock watch things. Yay for Sarah. And now, since we're just on Survivor nudity watch at this point, and I'm leaning into this. You don't have to lean into this with me if you don't want to. Cooper, I don't know that anyone was really asking you to. I think they were just joking, dude. Like, I don't think anyone was really asking you to take your pants off, but he does it.
True.
He doesn't get naked like I briefly thought he was going to, and was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
I think it's Cooper. He's so into the game. He really wanted to show people that he didn't have an idol or an idol clue. So what else can you do at that point than strip, I guess? I
mean, any number of things you can do besides that, I think. I don't know that this was like really our only option here. But all right, we're going to allow it.
Yeah, sure.
So this tribe of Sam, Lucy, Akshay, Aaron, Dylan, Adam, and Megan lose the challenge. And from here on out, most of the action is going to be centered around this group.
Yes.
Rightfully so, because there's a lot of stuff happening here. Again, I have the note that Megan is really working. Really happy with her play here.
Yep.
I'm really happy with Adam's play too.
Yeah. Talk about like, learning from your mistakes and coming back and wanting to play a better game. He's definitely on my list of like, okay, Adam, like, we see you and we're excited. And I think he put himself in a really good spot. I feel like his name came up briefly. And I mean, I'm assuming we're going to talk about pulling a Mitch here by our buddy Sam. But yeah, I love the Megan and Adam duo. They're kind of in the middle. They, kind of chose which way to go with this crazy vote. So love that. Yeah, it's a really interesting tribe.
And that is like a duo that I'm so here for, of Adam and Megan. Like, yes to both of them. Yes to this all the way. I'm big in on that. we see a lot of different combinations of people that don't really peter out. So I'm just kind of run through all of that. At one point, Dylan is openly flirting with Adam, and I think we should address that because this is what Dylan does so well. Is if you're in a one-on-one with Dylan, like you're with him, like he is so good at that. Like, and I know we talked about it over and over again in season 3, but like he just has this thing where when you're talking to him, it's like, hey, like what's up? Like how have you been? Like what's been going on? Like that. It's Dylan in season 3 is the exact same thing we talked about with Dale last season.
Yep.
It's that ability to connect, and it's the piece of advice that Dale gave when we interviewed him of like connect with people, like know something about their family, about their external life. And I think it's something Dylan does one of the best we've seen in all of Survivor Michigan.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why he won. He made the connections, got to the end, and got the jury vote. So I'm not surprised that he's doing the same thing here.
No.
Yeah.
And he's easy on the eyes. And, you know, so good for you, Adam, for enjoying it while you can. Again, we get crafts with Sarah with the Magic School Bus song in the background. Sarah is like, just... We like Sarah. Sarah's great. There, she has a great moment with Nick where I'm like, okay, yes, this is a good duo. Like, just here for all of this.
Yep.
True or false? Jackson doesn't know shit about Survivor Michigan. There is one point where they're talking with him. He does not know where anyone finished. He does not know what happened. Jackson has fully never seen an episode of Survivor Michigan before. He has just genuinely no idea what's going on. It's Bibi Zahara Benet coming back for All-Stars, having never watched Drag Race after season 1. Jackson has no idea what's going on, what has happened in previous season. He does not care.
Right.
And Jackson, we have a podcast. Just call us, man. We would have been happy to fill you in, dude, on what happened. Like, just give us a call. Jackson, if you ever want to come on and play Survivor Michigan trivia with us, we would love to have you. Anyhow.
That's great.
But who cares? It's Jackson.
Yeah, it's Jackson.
I have to say, so I just do my notes in chronological order.
Perfect.
At one point, I'm very high on Tom, and I don't remember why. But I just want it noted publicly that at one point during the episode, between the note that says Cooper Idol Clue fake, holy shit, and the next one that says Sam text gate, OMG, is just one that says, and I quote, the Thomasons?
Wow.
But I don't know why or have any recollection of why I was feeling that way about Tom.
So can't help you with that either. Let's just roll
1 point for Tom. It's good. We'll revisit
when
that.
he makes final 3, you'll be coming back to this moment and saying, I told you so.
It'll be Mallory all over again.
Yeah.
We'll come back and be like, we had it first. So let's get into it. Sam, who we love. Again, the one person missing from this Villains of the Season Alliance is Mitch. And it turns out he's here.
Right.
He came here. We the official term of pulling a Mitch has reincarnated. Mitch the Snitch. Mitch is back. So Brittany's here too, which is also exciting. There's a point where Sam is like walking and I can't tell whether he's going to cry or throw up. And I'm like, yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's so funny. So I actually met Sam in person a couple of weeks ago. He was here in Nashville. So that was awesome. The funny thing is, like, we didn't talk about Survivor Michigan All-Stars at all, but I kind of did that on purpose because I knew we would be doing this podcast and he wouldn't have spoiled anything. But it was just kind of funny. We were like getting up to leave and I was like, oh, we didn't even talk about All-Stars. But so it's just so funny. Like, I was sitting at a table with him, like drinking coffee, and it's just like funny seeing him doing that in the game or whatever. But as soon as it was revealed that he did that, like, we have our group text with, Sam, Jack, and Sarah, our bosses. And, I just threw a text in there. And then I like almost felt bad because like you could just see the emotion and, he was shedding tears for a few people and all that. And like Sam is so like in the game and about the game, and like you could feel his emotion like through the screen on like, shit, I just made such a huge mistake in, you know, in his text. So yeah, I just felt for him. I felt for him, you know, in that moment. Like, I was just like, how is he going to recover from this?
I think the people that you really connect with in Survivor at large, whether CBS Survivor, College Survivor, whatever, are the people that you really feel are being very real on camera.
Yeah.
And so let me throw it all the way back to season 2. The very first time we talked to Sam on camera in season 2, he's talking about his uncle, right? And playing Survivor for his uncle.
Yes,
and like immediately, we're like minutes into the first episode, and we're like, I love Sam. Like 100%. Sam is great. And I was immediately transported there because I remember that Sam is that guy. Like, even though like he has a villain side to himself, and you could easily call him one of the villains of the later game in season 2. And he has strategic side. Like, the reason that people love him is because he is just this real, genuine dude who you just absolutely connect with. And that leads us into the results of this, which is he just apologizes his way out of this.
Yeah.
And just talks his way out of this, shows up completely genuine and says, I screwed up. And this is really what happened. I meant to say this. I meant to send this to the producers. I didn't. I sent it to you guys. This is why I said what I said, and this is what happened. Comes clean, owns it, nothing.
And doesn't receive one vote.
Dude. Yeah. I mean,
it was a roller coaster to watch, but it was like, as he was getting closer and closer and like changing people's minds. And I think you made a great point about how genuine he is. Like, if it was a different player, I don't think we see the same result. So I think if this would have happened to someone, I think it was actually good that it was Sam, if it had to be anyone. And I think watching him recover from that, watching him build back relationships, watching him, you know, kind of be vulnerable and genuine about it, you know, that didn't come across fake or anything like that. Like, he was the perfect person to do that. He recovered from it. Not only didn't get any votes, but the person that he wanted to go home went home. Like,
yeah,
what that is a crazy roller coaster that I've never seen that ends with, you know, you getting off the ride successfully and having the best time of your life in that moment.
I don't even really know what to say about it, to be honest. Like, we're coming into this and like I have notes and stuff, but really he just gets out of it. And it's charming. Like, a lot of it is his charm. Like, he just does have a natural charm that's very obvious. It exudes through the screen. But also he has, like, Sam has a way of making other people feel like they're in control when he is the one pulling the strings. And he does this so well in that conversation with Adam that we see where he's like, let's talk about now where we're going to move forward from this. Even though he's like, I don't know, maybe we'll vote out Adam. And then he's like, well, no, let's work together instead. And Adam is like in confessional saying, I probably shouldn't be buying this. But he does.
Yeah.
And I actually disagree. I think this is a good place for Adam to be with Sam. Because I think Sam is a good sounding board, as we've seen through season 2. I think Sam is a really good sounding board. And so I think somebody like Adam, one of the reasons why he didn't succeed as much as he could have is he didn't actually have the sounding board he thought he had. Like, he didn't actually have that relationship. He can build that with Sam and with Megan. He could be dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's get to it. We're scrolling past hot tub time again because it's I don't know what's up. I don't know.
That was so interesting.
I don't know. But also, I talked about earlier about, you know, shirtlessness and whatever, but also from a survivor standpoint, if you're on a 7-person tribe and 6 people are in the hot tub, you got to get in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Like, and listen, I fully said it not a half hour ago on this podcast of like, would I be thrilled to be sitting with Sam and Dylan and Adam shirtless in a hot tub, sitting next to those guys? On one hand, yes, but that's for a different podcast. But on the second hand, no, that wouldn't be the thrill of my lifetime either. I weigh like 125 pounds. But you got to do it. If everybody else is in the hot tub, you got to get in the hot tub.
Right. Yeah. You have to just kind of put all of your thoughts on that aside and just jump in. I mean, they did need someone to film, I guess, but that's not as important as bonding with your tribe and kind of, you know, it would be like, I mean, we've seen this in other games, like the 1 or 2 people that don't go to like the tribe dinner in the beginning or things of that nature. And it doesn't usually work out great for that person. No. So, yeah, Akshay should have just jumped in, but
you got to get in the hot tub, man. But you know, also, if it's not for what Sam does here and the way he pulls off this move, it's probably fine. So we can't say it's because of this necessarily.
Right.
Because for all intents and purposes, it really probably should have been Lucy here, who goes, she's openly saying, like, I can't run, whatever. It's not like Lucy doesn't have a great premiere episode here. She does have maybe my favorite scene of the premiere episode, though, where she calls Dylan on the phone.
That was incredible.
Whoa! Where's this person been?
I know. Lucy 2.0.
Obsessed. It's definitely one of those things where like Survivor Twitter would be like mother, stan, queen, yes. Right. Like 100, like at this moment, 100%. It's so good. Because like she doesn't give up the ghost of what's gonna happen.
Right.
Like she doesn't tell him like, hey, this is flipping, just so you know. Like she doesn't. Like she plays it just perfectly where she's like, if you vote for me, I better go home. Because if I don't, I'm going to kill you. And Dylan is so, and this is one of those times where Dylan's charm and aloofness works against him, where he's like, yeah, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's going home, whatever. I was sad about it before, but now I'm happy to vote for you, which from a viewer perspective, so fun to watch. Because you're like, oh, I don't know about that, sir.
I know. Yeah, that was great. Because it was also, because you were kind of thinking like, too, like, let's say Lucy would have gotten voted out and Dylan would have voted for her. Like, we would have never seen the fallout from that.
No.
But the fact that she's still in the game and he voted for her, like, I'm very interested to see. I think we saw a little clip of some sort of argument, but I'm very interested to see that dynamic and how it plays out. And yeah, that was a great moment for Lucy.
All-Stars, this is going to get messy. Yeah. Like, that was the moment where I was like, this season is going to be messy. And
that was only the first episode.
That was the first episode. And like we said, at the top of the season, you and I just played an all-star season. Paddock and Sarah were there. Other friends of ours were there. It's just a game.
Right.
And it's fun for everyone. But there's emotions involved. Like, there just 100%. Is. Like, and this is, you know, these people have, this is college, so emotions are to the nth degree from, you know, we both remember what that life was like, and nobody was following us around with a camera. Thank God for my sake. You know, and like, this is going to be a whole semester of their lives. This is going to get messy.
Yeah, like, it definitely. We've talked about that before. Just the layer, like, Survivor on the island is one thing, but during college, you're still in college, taking your classes, all of your other, you know, responsibilities that you have, like coming into your own for some people. Then you're playing this game for the entire semester, lying to people, backstabbing, adding the layer of it being all-stars. You've been friends with these people. You've known people for years. Like, there's just so many different aspects of this that just make it even more interesting than it already is. So, it's bound to get messy. It already has started off that way. So I don't see that stopping.
And the fact that the spider web exists beyond these 21 people.
Right.
You know, at one point you hear Bree, who we didn't cover, Bree is saying, Nate told me about Jackson.
Yeah, right.
You know, and so you have somebody else who is in this universe, you have, Bailey, I'm dating someone on production. You have all of these other people who are involved in the production of this, who are obviously, these are relationships that exist too, that don't just exist on camera or in the context of a game or a season. Oof.
Yeah.
This is going to be good. So we go to Tribal Council, and Tribal Council, it turns into this 4-3 vote where everybody thinks they know what's happening. It ends up being Akshay who gets the boot.
Yeah.
Which is tough. First boot in All-Stars is tough, especially when you're a season 1 player and you waited all this time. It's tough. We're gonna miss Akshay for sure.
Absolutely.
We love our OGs. We love our. I mean, season 1 of Survivor Michigan is god tier television. I've said it on this podcast. I've said it off the podcast. I've said it to strangers on the street. I've said it to people who were unlucky enough to sit next to me on an airplane. Season one Survivor Michigan is god tier, and so losing any of those people is a shame, since there's so few of them that could come back. But the way it happened was so juicy. I know, so good.
That's what was like so conflicting about it, because it's like you don't want Akshay to go, but like you kind of want Lucy to stay because of that shift or that flip. So again, it just adds to the layers of this season. But yeah, I mean, my jaw dropped at that vote. It was beautiful and crazy all at once.
So good. And so now we're left with Dylan and Aaron.
I know. It's so interesting because, well, especially with like the way my rankings like shook out, like it would have had, depending on which way that vote would have gone, I would have had maybe some different names here, but
totally.
I mean, we have to talk about that briefly. Like, I think the one thing that I thought of though, I think like, I know there's probably so many different examples of this, but the one that I always go back to is like Adam Klein. He was left out of that first vote on the bottom, but he ends up working his way back in and winning. So it's like, I see that situation with like Aaron and Dylan right now, maybe more Aaron than Dylan, just because he has that target of being the winner. Like now it's kind of like, can they recover from this? What can they do moving forward if they lose again? How do they work themselves back in and go far in the game? So it adds like a different, like, you know, maybe we were looking at them one way is like, okay, they're going to put this big alliance together. Now they're on the bottom. It's like, what are they going to do to overcome that and, you know, try to go far in the game? So that's... Let
us not forget, this is familiar territory for Aaron.
Yeah.
Being left out, being on the bottom, having to scrap and work. This is kind of the Aaron game. So in a way, you know, obviously this is not an enviable position for anybody to be in round one, but Aaron knows what this is like.
Right.
She has played this exact game before from the bottom. It should be Aaron next, but it might not be Aaron next because she can get just one more vote, just one more vote, just one more vote, just one more vote. I think Dylan is in a really horrible spot.
Yeah, I agree.
I do.
Especially with Lucy on the tribe.
Yeah.
Because you know she's only going to want to vote for him if they go to tribal next.
Yeah. She's out for blood. Yeah. And good for her.
Right.
Good for her. I said what I said. Yeah, but you know, it's the same thing we said about Aaron all through season 2 is like, or excuse me, season 3 is she's just interesting to watch. Yeah. And how did she do it? And she has rivals on this season. So it's not even like, can she just get to a tribe swap? She doesn't just have to get to a tribe swap. She has to get to a tribe swap without several of these other people,
right.
Who, you know, and so like, you know, what happens if she gets to a tribe swap and, you know, she's with Will and Paddock again? Like, good God, you know, how does she do it? How does she play that? I'm interested to see her game go far.
Will she be making burgers for anyone this season?
Oh my, let's, you know, I hope there's going to be a lot of callbacks this season. There's going to be a lot. We talked about redemption. This is the revenge tour. Maybe it's the
maybe they'll be well done this time.
Aaron's Burgers revenge tour. I'm here for it.
Or she keeps them undercooked for, you know, revenge. Who knows?
Did we learn from our past mistakes? Have we learned? Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so before we go into power rankings, I just want to make sure we've covered everybody. Nick is here. At one point, we see it with Sarah. Nick has a really interesting storyline. Nick very much feels that he should have won.
Yeah. I mean, you can't come closer than a tie, right?
You can't. It's the closest you can possibly come to winning without winning. Totally valid that he feels some type of way about it.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I think if you consistently are like, I should have won, I think that's the wrong energy to bring into a returning season. I think if he kind of gets that out of his system and kind of just focuses on maybe why he lost, why didn't he get, more jury votes? Why didn't he get, it was Lucy, right? That cast the tie vote. Like, why didn't he get Lucy's vote? I think if he shifts his energy to the reasons why he lost, instead of just being like, oh, it should have been me, I think that'll be good for him. But if he keeps with that energy of like, it should have been me, like, now I got to just like get myself to the end so I can actually win this time, I think that would be the wrong approach. So hopefully he is one of those players that kind of learns from his past and figures out, what he needs to do to get that win.
Yeah, I totally agree with that analysis. On this, the Supervillains tribe with Leia and Jesse, we also have Bree and Emily B are both here, which is exciting because I think sometimes when you're on the Powder Keg tribe, sometimes it's good to just... We were both big Bree people in season 2, and I don't think she never quite emerged. There were several times when Bree was saying the right things in confessional and like had the right idea, but never really did anything about it. So Bree is like definitely always somebody I'm going to be keeping one eye on because I think she has really good reads.
Yeah.
I want her to emerge. Yes. I want her to take the reins. I want her to like run with it.
Right. I agree. I felt the same way. She dubbed herself Briach, which is her words, not mine.
Not great, but okay.
But interesting. I mean, yeah, if she's going to be more cutthroat, like let's see.
I'm all for that. Totally.
I think she definitely has the potential to, again, as we keep saying, like learn from her past, play harder. I think her and Jesse's energy will be interesting. If they're both kind of in this bubble of like, let's come back and actually like play harder than we did the first time. I think if they work together on that, I could see them both doing that. So excited.
I think there definitely is so much potential for that. Like kind of like what we saw like Jenna Lewis do in Survivor All-Stars, like kind of be like, I was not really a factor on my season or not a huge factor in my season. I want to come back and play harder. And I mean, it worked out very well for Jenna in that season. I think we saw it with certain people in Maryland All-Stars as well, kind of coming back and saying somebody like Ashley in Maryland All-Stars maybe is a good place for Jesse or Bree to be looking and saying like, here's somebody who was kind of like not a strategic presence in season 1 or in their original season rather, but like came back and really played in All-Stars. Like that would be my like time travel brain meld message to them is like really go for it, and I hope they do.
Yeah, I do too.
So that's so let's talk about some power rankings. That's what we're here for. That's how we got the nickname. I am of several minds on these power rankings, so mine are going to feel a little chaotic.
Okay.
But give me a name. Let's throw some names out there, and then we'll assemble a ranking here at the end.
Okay, so I'll start with Kevin.
Yes, good. Tell me why.
On the same page already?
We are.
Okay. I don't know if I said this in the beginning, but I watched the episode on Friday, kind of in pieces. It was a whole thing. But when I was thinking about it today, I was just like, let me just think of a couple people that kind of just like stood out to me. And Kevin was one of them. He threw the torch during the challenge. there's a little bit of that villain coming out. But I think we talked about it before, but I think, you know, like you said, like learning from his past, coming back and either playing a different game or a better game or what have you, like he's in a spot for me of like, I have my eye on him and I want to see what he can do. And I want him to do better. I want him to go further than he did his first time. So that's why I have him on my list.
I agree. Kevin is also on my list. Because of what we talked about, he's in the right headspace.
Mm-hmm.
And he's somebody who we don't have to ask because he's telling us in confessional, this is the headspace I'm in.
Yeah.
Where he's not necessarily going to change his game. He's still happy to be the supervillain, but he's learned from his past mistakes. And because he got drawn onto for my opinion, about the best tribe he could possibly get drawn into, because he's not going to be the biggest supervillain on this tribe. But the thing that he was good at was kind of scooping people up, and kind of like the people who weren't necessarily as like, I'm playing hard, like I'm doing this, I'm making moves, I'm doing this. Kevin was always able to kind of bring all those votes together to get his agenda done. And so being on a tribe with Bree, with Jesse, with Emily B, who like had played a little bit more of those backseat or subtle games in their kind of original runs, for Kevin is a really good place for him to say, like, wouldn't you rather play with me than with Will? Wouldn't you rather play with me than with Jackson? Wouldn't you rather, even with somebody like Leia, wouldn't you rather play me than Leia? You know, I think Kevin is in a great spot. I think he's thinking the right thing. The question with Kevin always is, how long can it last? How long can he do this before the time bomb goes off?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not there this season.
Right.
Maybe, who knows? But yeah. I'm just gonna throw out Megan because I know she's somebody who's on both of our lists. There was also, and I'm throwing shade again, there was a conversation that happened in one of these roundtables that I was watching. That they released where the casting team was maybe not so high on Megan initially. I could be corrected if I'm remembering that incorrectly, but I know for sure that I'm not.
Was that in like casting her for her original season?
Casting her for All Stars.
What?
There was talk about this, and I remember because I tweeted about it because I was upset, and I used my favorite GIF of Ryan Howard from The Office with his notebook making a list. And I specifically remember this because I was so upset by it initially, and because I said at the time, this was like in the summer, like, don't sleep on Megan. Yeah. And I was right. She's working hard. She's in there. Of this Megan Jackson duo, I think she is way more ready to cut him than he is her. And I think her guard is way more up this time around than it was. Even in season 4, where she played excellent and had good reads in season 4, I think she's even more in tune with what's going on.
Yeah.
Megan is definitely here, ready to play.
Yeah, I'm shocked that she was in contention to not be cast. I want to go back and find out who said that. Secondly, obviously, if you listen to us during her season, we were big Megan fans. I think she was on our power rankings list almost every
perpetually
week.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, she's got to be. I mean, I wouldn't have put her on here if I didn't think she deserved to be on there, but she, like you said, she had a great first episode. I did put her with Adam. I will throw that out there. I did cheat, and I put a slash there.
Yeah.
But standing alone, yeah, she's ready to play. I do agree. Like, I think she would cut Jackson in a heartbeat if it meant getting her further. So I kind of, in a weird way, hope that happens. I think that'd be such an iconic moment.
Great TV.
Especially if it's a blind side.
Great TV.
But yeah, and you know, with her and Adam being in that kind of swing position in their tribe, making the decision to go with Sam and Lucy on that vote, I think was the right move for them. And yeah, I'll be happy to have Megan on my list every week.
Totally agree. And then let's talk about Adam.
Yeah,
because Adam is also somebody who is on my list. who I think had a good premiere. I think there was a moment where he was in danger, but he, because of all the craziness, is able to just kind of sneak back under the radar. He's in a good spot. We see him talking with a lot of different people. I think he is somebody who is in that grouping of people who are definitely going to improve their play over their original season.
Yeah, and that's why I put him on my list too, for the same reasons. Like, excited that he's back. I think he he is someone that can look to his past and grow from that and change and play a better game. I want him to play a better game. So yeah, agree with all that. Really excited. I hope that, I mean, I love Megan and Adam separately. I love them as a duo as well.
Yes.
I think that just like,
I love them most
beautiful.
as a duo.
That's a beautiful alliance right there.
Totally.
Would it be hashtag Madam?
Madam? Are we going with Madam, Megdom, Megam, something? We'll workshop it. I like it. We got something going there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Sarah just briefly again, because she was somebody who was definitely on my list of the people who didn't go to tribal council, but she's in a great spot on this tribe. Yeah. She's in a great spot with this group. Somebody else who is not only in the right headspace, but is telling us in confessional, I am in the right headspace to come back and play this game, which we always like when people are talking to us in the confessional like that. We know she's a player. We know she's here to play hard. I definitely think she is poised to do well.
I agree. I mean, Sarah Gallagher goes far in games.
Yes.
Like that's
what she does.
That's a fact. So, and I think she's the best first boot to bring back.
Yes.
I mean, we can say that. We're not just saying that because we're friends with her. But yeah, I think she is someone that can learn from her past, learn from her mistakes. As you were mentioning before, her and Paddock, like they played other games. So like, I think she's perfected her game. She's got a great head on her shoulders. She's not chaotic. Like she's social. We know all of that. So yeah, I have her on my list. I think we have the same people so far, which I'm not surprised by. But yeah, she was one of the people I did want to put some people that weren't on the tribe that went to tribal. And I think she's someone that's like, I'm excited to watch. We know she's going to get far. And I hope she has a good redemption arc from her first time.
Me too. Who's somebody else you got on your list?
I have Leia.
Oh, okay. That's not somebody who's on my list. So tell me about this.
I was wondering if we were going to be have a differing opinion, not differing opinion, but if she was going to show up in your list or not. I just think, again, season 1, I just like that Leia is back, and I'm excited about that. I'm really interested in the her and Cooper situation, like how that's going to play out. Again, as we talked about before, like different duos that are in the game. I think that's really one that I have my eye on, and I kind of want to see what happens with that. Again, she already talked about it in the episode, just kind of learning from her past and what she did wrong in her first season. So for me, it's just kind of one of those things of like, I'm excited that she's back. I want to see what happens with her second go around. And again, someone that is back from season 1, like you mentioned, having so much time, like it's one thing where you ended a semester and then you go into a returning season right after that, but to have like a couple years, I think she's the perfect person to use that time wisely and then come into the game and do well. So that's why I had her on my list.
I think Leia's great. I have nothing bad to say about her. My concern with Leia is, is she married to this dream world where she goes to the end with Cooper? Like, obviously, like, we've both played games with friends. Like, you have those conversations before the game, like, oh my God, wouldn't it be great if we could sit? We didn't have that conversation because I was never going to, you were never going to take me to the end. But you have those conversations where, like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if we were in the finals together? Wouldn't it be amazing if we could do that? And that's all well and good, but I need her to not be thinking like that.
Yeah.
I need her to be thinking by any means necessary, Leia, because she is so good. She's smart. She's tough. She brings it. She is so many things that we love in a Survivor player that we talked about during season 1 of like, Leia is so good and she possesses all these skills. I don't want to see her held back by anything. I want to see her at 100%. So yes, with an asterisk.
Got it. Yeah, that sounds good.
And then the end of my list, I had Andrew or Crouch, whatever we're going to call him this season, at the end of my list. Just simply be like, obviously it's a homer pick. Like, obviously it's because I want to see him do well.
Right.
But also I do think he's in a really good spot. I think he has that like people are rooting for him thing. Because, you know, obviously because of the number of people that were crewed or what like were on the crew or whatever, like they know what happened to him. It was brutal. Like it's one of the signature Survivor Michigan moments that happened to him. And I mean, it was, if Liz couldn't be here, the number one person we wanted to see do well was Andrew. So yes, I'm rooting for him. Also, I think he's good. And I think he also has the benefit of what we're talking about with Sarah of people don't know how good he can be.
Yes.
Because he went out in this really weird way. He went out with 0 votes against him the whole season. He's never been voted out. He's never gotten a single vote cast against him. You know, I think he's in a good spot of if he really comes to play and if he comes to like fulfill what he could have been back then, I'm high on his game. Yeah,
I agree with everything you said. I think him winning would just be such a full circle moment. Yeah, I mean, I could have easily had him on my list if we had room for more people. I expect him to be on my list later in the season, hopefully. So yeah, excited that he's back. I think, yeah, we'll have to just see what happens. And I mean, he was in a good spot in his first season. I mean, had it not been for the Rock,
he's in a great spot.
So it's not like he even went out.
As you can tell by all the people he was with went deep in that season.
Yeah.
You know, so he would have been there in one of those spots.
Right.
I said after the first episode of Maryland All-Stars, and I'm not going to spoil Maryland All-Stars, but I said if the eventual winner wins Maryland All-Stars, it will be the greatest season potentially of reality TV ever. And then that player went on to win. And I feel totally comfortable saying, like, if Andrew wins Michigan All-Stars, I mean, it would be in the absolute top goated tier of any reality season ever, TV, YouTube, where somebody's backyard, any place that's been reality TV has been played, this would be on that list for me if that becomes the redemption arc. If he gets voted out at Final Four, I'm coming for you. This is a promise, not a threat. If Andrew is the victim of the revenge tour, I'm coming for somebody's gonna wake up with a horse's head in their bed. That's all I'm saying.
It's so funny or not funny, but when we were talking about that earlier, he came to mind as a fourth place boot. This is the only time we're ever going to say this. We're going to pull it back from the universe.
No, we're pulling this directly out. And we should also clarify at this point, we're both totally unspoiled. So we genuinely have no idea what happens from week to week. So we really don't know but I'm planting my flag here.
Yeah.
Perfect. If it happens. Yeah. Okay. And now we're done with it. It's buried. We're not addressing it because we're not putting that into the universe. No, sir. No, ma'am. No, them. Nobody.
Perfect.
Okay. You have more.
I did have one other. I did have Sam on my list.
Okay.
We talked about it already. Just for the way that he got himself out of that situation, I had to put him on my list.
Yes.
For this week. So
absolutely. Sam is on punishment for me. He didn't make the list because I couldn't put him on my list after TextGate, even though we've all been there. We've all sent a screenshot to the wrong person. I have fully done that. We're like, you're screwed, especially like when it's somebody you're dating and you're like, oh my God, look at this thing this idiot just said to me. And then you end up sending them a screenshot of their own conversation. Yeah, so like it's not that we haven't done it, but I do have to put Sam on 1 week of punishment. If
That's fair.
like we don't have the statistics, but Sam is one of the longest running #1 power ranking players we ever had. Like through most of the pre-merge, I don't have the data in front of me somewhere, but through almost all of the pre-merge of season 2, Sam was in a #1 spot. So Sam he's a power rankings all-stars, but he's in the corner for me this week. All right, so we have go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the other thing I was just gonna say is like, we got this kind of with Jack in the last season. I like that we're seeing Sam on his own without Sarah and Jack. So that is exciting as well, just to see like what can he do on his own? What did he learn from his first time? Can he align with the right people? He's, besides Tech Skate, he's starting out strong so far. So
he had a great episode.
Yeah.
Totally. Except for, except for about 20 minutes.
Pulling a Mitch.
Yeah, pulling a Mitch. Okay, so we have 7 names here on the power rankings. I don't know that we need to go like rank them all, but who's your #1? Who's the top of your list this week?
And the only differences we had was Crouch and Leia, right?
Yes.
Sarah, Kevin. Just to spite whoever doubted her, I'm gonna put Megan at #1.
I'm totally fine with that. I think Megan at #1 for week 1 of the power rankings, I'm totally happy with. We're going to put her up there and then let everybody else fight it out for the rest of the numbers after that. But Megan is #1 for week 1. And yeah.
We are Megan stans.
We are Megan stans now forever.
Yeah.
We love her.
Yes.
She's the queen. All right. So before we wrap up, what do we have to see this season?
Oh my gosh.
This is what I'm thinking. Like,
who?
So like the top of my list is we have to get some kind of scavenger hunt. It's been such an iconic Survivor Michigan moment. Somebody has to kiss under I don't know if it's the engineering school or what. I'm not familiar with this tradition, but somebody has to kiss, whatever. We have to see a scavenger hunt. I need one of these dynamic duos to backstab each other.
Yes.
Whether it's Megan and Jackson, Cooper and Leia, Sarah and Paddock, one of these dynamic duos has to implode. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I have to see this season.
Will versus someone.
Will versus is definitely on the list. We have
multiple people.
We have to get unhinged Will confession from the driver's seat of his car at some point. I wouldn't. I was gonna say we have to see a bunch of these guys with their shirts off, but we already did. So check episode 1, check. Thank you for the fan service to the editing team.
Will we see Brady shirtless as the host though? The phones are buzzing and people want to know.
Many people are saying we need this to complete the season. Many people are saying, I'm hearing it all over. The switchboards are blowing up. Many people are saying that is what we're going to need to complete the goodness of this season is, definitely.
Do we want to see Rocks in an all-star season?
That's a tough one. That's a tough question. It's been a part of so many of the great Survivor Michigan moments. It's been a defining moment for several people who are here. Obviously for Andrew, for Cooper. Actually, he's not with us anymore, but he's another person for whom that initial rock draw was a huge deal. Okay, I will tentatively put on our list that maybe we want to see Rocks.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm down.
And also, the last thing I have on my list is at some point, George. He was here season 1. He made a reappearance last season. Nate still doesn't know who he is. Nate potentially lost Survivor Michigan because he doesn't know who George is.
Oh my god!
So I would love to see George at some point. At some point, if he doesn't show up, we'll just have him on. We'll just have him on as our honorary power rankings guy.
Oh, that's perfect.
One way or another, we'll see George this season. We'll invite him on.
I like that.
Anything else?
I think that's a good starting list.
I agree.
Maybe some sort of argument at a challenge, like the Bailey Maggie.
I'm so sad
situation.
Maggie's not here. I know why she's not here. I understand. People graduate, they have lives, they move on. Let's just say we need some sort of Maggie presence. Like the same way we got Mitch reference to this episode, we got the Brittany reference to this episode. Someone has to bring Maggie to All Stars. Whether they drink a whole bunch of tequila, that's the world's largest shot, whether they shower confessional, karaoke, in some way, the spirit of Maggie needs to inhabit this season.
Somebody has to just write something on their stomach at a challenge.
Yes, please.
That's easy to do.
I love it. Perfect. All right. Wow.
We did it.
This premiere was such a banger. Really we are set up for such a great season here. I'm so excited. We'll be here with you every week. As always, subscribe to Keep Your Torch Lit on wherever you get your podcast, on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us personally on Twitter. I'm at Paul Says Thought.
I am at J Sorrentino, Sorendino.
Perfect. So give us a follow if you have any questions, anything you want us to cover.
Yeah,
shoot us add us, shoot us a DM. Like we said, we're totally unspoiled. So we are trying to be sort of the voice of the fans here for All Stars. So if there's something we didn't cover that you want us to cover, let us know. We'll talk about it. We'll just be here talking about all the craziness, the strategy, all season long.
Perfect.
All right. Till next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everyone.